morning. I'm Tech Sergeant Smith, and this is my Air Force culture presentation. Specifically, I'll be explaining the culture within my organization. And to do this, I'm going to be using the iceberg model, which breaks culture down into 3 levels. Your top layer with the social norms, behaviors, and artifacts within the organization. The second layer is the values and beliefs that we hold within the organization. And then the third and final layer is the basic assumptions. So I'm a part of a Operations Support Squadron, which basically deals with all things pilots, aircraft, and airfield. So one of the things that you will notice as an outsider or as a partner coming into the organization is that we are very diverse, and we have a very vast network within the organization that lends to a cross-org effort. So we do have a vast network throughout the base. And really that lends to the fact that we have a bunch of different jobs, a bunch of different AFSCs within our organization. The second thing you'll notice is our availability. So with us being 24/7 operations, we are always available, always reliable, ready to answer the call to any issue or problem that may arise. Some of the values and beliefs within the organization is delivering unmatched support, which has a lot to do with the availability. So being reliable, delivering that unmatched support to our partners, and a lot of times that support has to do with high-level distinguished visitors, even POTUS. So something else that's very important is the professionalism that we have within the organization. Always abiding the customary courtesies and our dress and appearance standards that the Air Force sets is very important within our organization. And the final thing is the valued airmen. So we do value our airmen, big A. So, and we do this by recognition. So the fact that our job is very highly demanding, we do like to offer that recognition for our airmen's hard work within our organization. And then some of the basic assumptions: the mission comes first, above all else. That is something that you don't even have to discuss. I mean, an example of that would be the fact that when we have commanders calls, you might only see a quarter of the squadron there, because it's just, there's always something going on, there's always something to do, there's always a mission happening that we have to respond to and have to take care of. And lastly is the training and competence. So the fact that we do operate 24/7 is very important, that we have competent, well-trained members of the organization, so that way they can be trusted, because a lot of times if they're working overnight, they will be working alone. A lot of times our work centers are only 1 or 2 deep through the nighttime hours, so we have to have very competent workers to be able to handle any situation that comes up and be able to respond with very low, without really needing much help, so to speak. So next will be the impact of the culture within our organization. So some of the healthy elements of our culture is the fact that we do display a lot of professionalism to our customers and our partners, which really lends to just a better presentation, when you're dealing with the high-level DVs, because most of our customers are pilots. They're the officer tier, and most of the members that are within our organization are enlisted, so it is very important to have that professionalism when you're dealing with those customers. Reliability, which ties into the availability. So the fact that we are 24/7, we are reliable, we are able to respond to anything at a moment's notice and get the job done. Innovation, we do foster a culture of innovation within our organization. We are always looking for better, efficient ways to our processes and to improving those, and we do incentivize that through like spark tanks and morale funds and extra money towards your work center if you can come up with ways to innovate. Another healthy element is the accolades and recognition that we give to our members. And like I said before, with the high demand that we have within our organization and the heavy workload, it is important to recognize when your members are doing a good job. And it is expected of us to submit quarterly, awards packages, like all work centers, all tiers, all the time. That is always expected. And then finally, the networking, which really ties into the innovation, because a lot of that innovation comes with that cross-organization, communication, and ultimately leading to better processes. And a lot of times you can cut out middlemen that do make processes a little bit more difficult to achieve, and cut out some of that bureaucracy when you do have that networking available. Now, some of the unhealthy elements is the fact that we are so diverse that a lot of times you have work center camaraderie, but you don't necessarily have organizational camaraderie. So it is very hard to get the work centers to get that camaraderie throughout the organization. It kind of becomes more cliquey within the work centers. Even if we have like squadron events, social events and stuff, it kind of tends to just everybody melds back into their work center, and which it does make sense, but that is kind of a downfall of being so diverse. The lack of continuity. So our organization is known for having, keeping our members for a long time, 3, 4, 5 years sometimes. But the problem is that knowledge sometimes isn't always passed down and maintained throughout the squadron. And a lot of times it does, the fact that our commander does change out every 2 years, that there's sometimes a lack of continuity with that as well, because you do have different leadership styles. So that sometimes tends to have a negative impact on the organization. Mentors, that kind of ties into the mentorship as well. The fact that our job is very high demanding, which lends to high stress. A lot of our workers are on 12-hour shifts, so that working those long hours, and then the fact that it is a very high demanding environment could lend to high stress. And then that mission first doesn't always translate to the valued airmen. Sometimes the mission definitely comes before the airmen, and that is noticed throughout the organization. So how does that impact the members of the organization? Well, some of the healthy impacts on the members is the fact that we do have a high mission success rate, which lends to the accolades and the recognition that we deserve within our organization, which also lends to our members having a sense of purpose and belonging, because they are given a lot of responsibility and a lot of trust, being able to handle some of the elements of the job, especially, you have airmen that will be working alone and they're expected to maintain the airfield, or you have air traffic controllers who are keeping planes from colliding in flight. So there is a lot of high trust and high responsibility within our organization as well, which lends to all the recognition, accolades that we get throughout the year. Some of the unhealthy impacts is that we have, with the fact that we do have such a high demanding job, it does lend to a very high retraining and cross-training rate. It's very easy to get burnt out when you're working 24/7 around the clock, and you are going from shift to shift to like days to mids. That's a very hard transition for a lot of people, and a lot of times it's happening on a monthly basis. So that does cause a lot of our members to want to only be able to do an enlistment before they need to find another job that isn't so demanding. The second unhealthy impact on our members is that they do question the judgment, and this has to do with the valued airman piece and the mission first piece. A lot of times we focus so much on the mission that we forget how the impact of what we're asking to get the mission done. We forget the airmen a lot of times, so that would be an unhealthy impact on our members, and that kind of ties into the unfair treatment and low morale of some of our members, especially the ones that are the frontline workers, because you have a dynamic of, you know, the back office that kind of works the admin shift. It's viewed negatively with the shift workers who are doing the job, who do feel like they don't get as much time off, or they don't get to go to certain events, and that is definitely noticed throughout the members of the organization. And then the fact that that we do have a lot of high stress situations, like responding to in-flight emergencies and stuff like that. And then the around-the-clock manning of the organization does lend to a kind of work hard, play hard mentality, which also tends to lead to UCMJ actions. We are known for having a lot of DUIs or drug use within our organization, unfortunately. So next, shaping the organizational culture. So the importance of maintaining a healthy organizational culture. So it is very important as an organization to maintain a positive perception to your customers, because you want to maintain that trust. You want to be reliable. You want to make the customer feel that you are providing them the best service that you can. Secondly, and that ties into the first, the perception is the trust within in and out of the organization. So you want the members to trust that within the organization that you can get the job done, you know what you're doing, you're knowledgeable on your job and your work center, but you're also networking within the organization to assist you with becoming more efficient in the organization. And then the adaptability. So, you know, which lends to the networking piece, being able to adapt to certain situations, especially when you're doing, you know, kind of no notice events such as an IFE response. So my role within the organizational culture as a kind of middle tier leader is broken down into 3 sections here. So shaping, strengthening, and maintaining. So shaping the Air Force culture, in my opinion, is easily, or is best described here as the walk the talk. So leading by example is one way that I feel that shaping the organization is the most efficient way to shape the organization. You know, not asking somebody to do something that you wouldn't do yourself or haven't done yourself. And also what you demand of your employees and your subordinates, you demand of yourself as well. Because at the end of the day, if they see you setting the example, they're more likely to set the example or to follow. Strengthening. So strengthening our organization, and specifically, you know, the members that I supervise. I like to do that through mentorship, and also empower them to come up with innovative ways, to find new ways to become more efficient with our processes. And then finally, maintaining is having that adaptability and making sure that we're documenting and we have that continuity within the organization, so that way that knowledge that we have gained continues, and it's not just falls on the present members of the organization. It's passed on to future members and such. So that concludes my brief. If there's any questions, I'll be happy to take them.